Alright guys, let's talk a little bit about sprint mechanics. A lot of people think about the sprint as a fast-moving jog. And in some ways that's true, but in other ways not so much. A lot of people come out of the 5K world where they're running their endurance type race, and they want to move a little bit faster. They hear their latest information that, hey, if I sprint, I'm going to get super ripped, so they want to go out and do sprints, get in a little bit of trouble, and sometimes they injure themselves, and sometimes they just notice that they don't seem to be getting any faster. So as far as getting faster, there's some techniques that we can kind of explain the mechanics of today, and with the mechanics foundation, we can really get the general idea. So a lot of people, one of the biggest differences between cross-country running and sprinting, you're going to be more upright in a cross-country run, right? So let's do, you can't really see that there. Move it over, got this light in the way. Alright, so we'll go right here. You got your guy, head, body, feet, very simple drawing. You can put some arms on there. This is your cross-country runner, right? You got your hips. Your hips are straight up, basically. You want to be vertical, even to some extent. Some coaches believe in leading with your hips. I think that's probably not a bad idea when you're running a distance race. Now, when you look at a sprinter, you almost never see a sprinter running down the track like this. Rather, you see them more in this type position, right? So, why is it that you would think that you'd have a sprinter more horizontal like this? We'll call this more of a horizontal position. And the reason is, right, with a cross-country runner, you're just moving forward, and you're trying to stay over your center of gravity the whole time, but you're not accelerating. You're maintaining the same speed. Well, in order to accelerate, you have to move your center of mass forward in front of your contact point. So what happens here is your cross-country vector, you don't really have much of a difference, okay? So you have no acceleration. If you look at your vectors, so if you have your, remember back to physics, good old physics, if you have your vectors, if you have this and this, you end up with a net zero vector. Well, with a cross-country runner, these arrows are actually shorter, but you're upright, you're balanced, you're centered over your feet. Now with a sprinter, what you want to do is you want to take that vector and you want to make it closer to this direction, only moving forward. Okay, so if we move forward, we've got our drive phase, horizontal position. How can we take this drive phase and what's going to help us improve our drive phase and make it more of a natural motion, and how are we going to work on our stride? And really the biggest thing to think about to change here is your stride. And you'll see one thing to think about, we can move away from the cross-country runner now. I'll just go ahead and erase this guy, and we can start with just the sprint. Okay, so the stride. You always see people doing their butt kicks, right? Yay, I'm doing a butt kick. Okay, so this guy's doing a butt kick. This is the classic butt kick. Now what kind of running is this meant for? This is going to be cross country. Okay, so the cross country runner, this is fine. You throw your feet out behind you, that's fine. Okay, now the sprinter, if you're going to do butt kicks as a training modality to work on your stride as a sprinter, this is a no-no. This is the way you're going to want to do butt kicks if you're a sprinter. Knee up, heel to your butt, okay, and then your other foot down. All right, so this is a straight line butt kick, right? So your heel goes from here to here. All right, so that straight line, that's what's going to be the difference. And let's explain this a little bit. Why this, or why not this, and why this? The reason is when you're sprinting, okay, so you're in this position, say you've got your foot up here, okay, you're distancing your feet vertically, right? There's a vertical distance between your feet. Now, why do we want a vertical distance between our feet? Well, because if we take this guy and we rotate to where now this person is leaning forward, like you'll be in a drive phase, and you have your knee up here and here. Now your feet are both, that's your stride length. So this vertical distance actually increases your stride. Now, why do we want to increase our stride length? Why does that really matter? Some people might argue that it doesn't. I'm here to have at least a biomechanical standpoint of why it's important. So the more we can make this go up, so if you take this same guy and then we have the knee even higher, right? We have a greater distance here. That's going to be your greater stride length. Okay, now we take this guy, and you're able to be more horizontal with a greater stride length. So just like the reason between cross country and sprinting in general, you want to be more horizontal. You want your vector, back to the vectors, to be more horizontal. Well, the more weight you have in front of your contact point here, the more you're going to have a horizontal, or the more weight in front of your contact point, the more horizontal your vector is. Okay? So this guy's going to have a big horizontal vector. This guy's going to have a smaller horizontal vector. The way we can figure this out is the sum of vectors, right? So this guy is more tall than he is horizontal. So we have this tall vector, and we have this shorter vector. Well, so that when you add these two vectors together, you end up with, right, we can add up and over, you end up with this vector. Well, any vertical component of that vector is wasted. So the more horizontal you can be, the better. So this guy, we've got big horizontal vector because he's more horizontal than he is upright. We can make that a little shorter just for demonstration. More horizontal than upright. Okay, well, we add these together. We've got this and, oh, sorry guys. Let's do it the same way as we did it above. That way it'll be a little bit more clear. And here, well, then you add these vectors together, and this vector is more horizontal. So the angle you're making with the ground, right here, the smaller this angle, the more energy you're directing forward, and the less energy you're directing upward. Okay, so that's really going to be essential to creating your acceleration phase of your sprinting. All right, so this is just general biomechanics of the acceleration phase of sprinting. Hope you enjoyed it.